Alright.
Ooh.
What I usually say? Camera rolling and action. What is happening, beautiful people? Ikamalam Usiphile, and welcome to the 10th episode of Usiphile On The Platform. And you know, bro, like as before we started recording, I was excited, and now I'm like, damn, you know, 2 cameras and stuff. But anyway, welcome everybody, man. I think it's been a long time coming for me to actually get to 10 episodes. I think the last episode I recorded was about, I think it dropped it 2 months ago. 2 months ago, and it was titled "Don't Give Up." Was it that one? I think the last one was "Don't Give Up," and then ironically I stopped. And 2 months later, it came back to me again, man, that I wanna come back to recording, and I'm very nervous. I think when I was recording the last few episodes, I got into the hang of it, got into the swing of things. I got used to it, and now I'm like, my heart is beating. So without further ado, man, as you guys can see, we officially have our first guest on the platform.
Hey.
Welcome.
We
I'm excited, and just before we started recording now, I was getting this burst of energy, and Adrian was just saying that he needs to get used to them. But a quick introduction. I want to introduce you, né?
Okay.
And then I'm interested to hear, actually, I'm interested to know, how do you usually introduce yourself? Like whenever you go to like a platform and people are like, "Oh, hey, welcome. This is Adrian. Can you introduce yourself?" What would you usually say? Because I have an introduction for you, but I'm keen to know, how do you usually introduce yourself?
Hey, it depends actually where I am.
Okay.
Depends what audience I'm sitting in front of. So if it's a music audience, I usually say I'm a music producer / sound engineer. And then I just give a little bit of a brief history. And I'll just say I've been making music for 16 years, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's voiceover, if it's a place where I'm speaking about that, then I'll say, look, I'm a voiceover artist, about 5 years of experience. I'll tailor it to that audience.
To the audience listening.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think with the platform, because it's not a music platform, it's not a voiceover platform. I think for me it's appropriate to kind of cover everything, because I know you as the music producer, I know you as a voiceover, but I think even before that you were a colleague.
Oh yeah.
you know? So
forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think because I kind of have an idea of the other parts of you, it's only right for me to give that introduction, and then I think you can expand a bit if there's something I'm leaving out. And ladies and gentlemen, this man right here is a music producer, sound engineer, entrepreneur. We are shooting in SB Studios.
For shit.
You are a voiceover artist, a professional spokesperson, a video editor.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you shoot your own stuff. So video editor, I'll edit there.
Yeah.
You are. I'll just say videographer. I think, just for lack of a better word.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just say videographer, because you do the shooting. You be behind the camera. You set up the lights and stuff, and you behind the mic, behind the lens. You are a son, a brother, a father, a husband, a friend, and a mentor to a lot of people, especially I think in the music industry. Adrian Silas Beats.
Yeah.
Adrian Silas Beats, and in the music industry, then you known as Silas Beats. Oh shoot! I forgot the main one. Not the main one, but how I got to know you. He's a qualified physiotherapist with a master's degree.
Yeah, I'm glad you left that.
That out? Why?
No, to the last, yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know, just punctuates it, just to say that, look, despite all of that, what was supposed to be the main thing just slipped our minds.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting, the thing with like physiotherapy, because I remember for the longest time, I think I told you the story, for the longest time I think when I got to varsity and I was like doing the degree, like I started like just watching a few videos online, and I bumped into an interview with this dude who was, I think it was a Hip Hop Galaxy interview. And
oh, shoot.
I never told you the story.
Maybe you did.
Maybe you did, yeah. Bumped into the video And I remember there was a dude speaking there, and he was like, he's a physiotherapist and a producer at the same time. I think I was in probably 2016.
It must have been.
Must have been 2016. Yeah, it must have been 2016.
That's what I did. I had an afro, didn't I?
Yeah. I'm gonna pull out the video just to put a screenshot. and when I watched the interview, man, I was like, so it's possible for someone to be in the health field and still be interested in doing music. And I had just had that at the back of my mind. I was like, oh, okay, master's degree, physiotherapy, and a producer. Damn. Okay, so I can actually do both. So that was the first time I got introduced to it, but it never really stuck. Like I didn't go back to the interview a lot of the times to be like, hey, it was Silas Beats or whatever. And then fast forward to 2019, I think in December, I got a message from, you sent me a text, because I think you were at the clinic that I was placed at, and you sent me a message. I remember checking the profile, cause your WhatsApp profile, and it was like, Silas Beats, and it was like music producer. I was like,
is this a joke?
I'm like, what? Could it be? Yeah. And I remember I was speaking to a friend. I was like, yo, bro, you remember that interview I once told you about a few years ago? And it's like, yeah. I'm like, could it be? I'm like, yeah, man, you're only gonna find out. So that was the first time I actually got introduced to you. And then I came to the Metro. I think 2020. Yeah. Came to the Metro, but I can't remember. Do you remember when we first spoke? Because I think then it was just like a thing of like handover of the clinic.
Did I even come through? I did. I came through to do a handover. I don't remember. My gosh.
Yeah. The first memory. The first memory was when it was a day we all went out for drinks on a Friday. That's the first thing I don't know the build up or like when you started like inviting me over, but I remember like we were out, and that's like my first memory of like an interaction with you just outside of work and not like the physiotherapy stuff.
Mind you, that year was a little bit weird in that I don't know, was it COVID yet?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, COVID was in March.
Those first few months you sort of forget, and then we quickly went into COVID in March, and then I think we only really started doing stuff towards the end of that year.
And that's when you came
that's
back.
probably when we met, like when we sat down and we had, drinks and we were going out and stuff.
And I remember you also guided me with getting the studio stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you remember when I wanted to get like studio equipment.
All the equipment.
But I think by then we would have been speaking about music. Because I got the equipment I think sometime in May, and you linked me to Dolby. Yeah. So I think by then we would have been talking. But funny enough, man, I can't remember the first interaction that we had about the music, except for the time like later on. I think it was September, October, like after COVID. But yeah, I mean, it's been I think from there it's been very interesting, and something I've never really asked you. Ever actually, and I was thinking about it this week as I was prepping for the episode. Yeah. Is do you? Because I know you as a certain type of person, né? But we've never really spoken about, like, I know which school you went to and stuff, like your high school, but we've never spoken about like childhood or like growing up and stuff. Like, do you have what's your first memory? Like your first memory as Adrian?
My first memory, just general memory. Yeah. Man. I think my first memory is pre-primary. Slightly before that. In Esbeleni, which is just outside of Queenstown. We were there. I didn't know, like, that was... I can't say it was... It's a township, right? It's just outside of Queenstown. And I remember just being at home, walking around. I think my sister must have started school already. I was just chilled. I just remember walking around the garden. Okay. I just remember it was like, grassy area. Yeah. That's probably as far back as I remember.
So grew up in the Eastern Cape? Born? Because I find that quite interesting.
Maseru, Lesotho.
And then moved to Eastern Cape when?
It was like after 2 months. So I was born there. We were there for like 2 or so months, and then we came through to Esbeleni for a while. Then from there, moved to East London.
And you were there from pre-primary up until throughout high school.
Primary right to grade 12.
Then you moved to
Cape Town.
for physio.
Physiotherapy, yeah.
And then you
For
came
those
to
4 years. From there, I was not going to go back to East London. I don't know, I just felt like, it felt like a step back.
Okay.
East London was a dope place. It probably still is a dope place now, but it just, for me, just felt like for what I wanted to do, I just needed to just move to the next thing. And if it wasn't Cape Town, because Cape Town spots for Comserver, they're very, very few.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go sit on some beach somewhere. So I was like, hey, Joburg, let's try it out. Yeah.
And then you got here in 2012. 2012. And you've been here since.
Yeah.
And then the music thing, man, like when does it start? Or when does it bite you? The music bug. When does it bite you?
I think the first time it bites me, that I know. Okay, there was the first time it bit me and I didn't know. Apparently, my parents used to say I used to make, like, you know, kids make noises, right? Like that, right?
Yeah.
But it was weird. Mine was always rhythmical. And I would do it to make...
You're beatboxing.
Yeah, beatbox. Funny, I would do it a lot when I was sitting on the toilet.
Oh.
So you know your parents, you're too young to wipe yourself.
Yeah.
You have to call your parents. So obviously they hang around to wait for you to hear you. So they're walking around and they hear this little kid inside there. I was long done, man.
Yeah.
But I was in there and maybe it was the reverb or something. I really just enjoyed being in there. So they told me that was the first time when they were like, man, there's a problem here.
There's something.
Something's going on. The one time I do know that it was like a conscious thing. My dad had a work laptop. I don't know if you'd remember this, but he had a work laptop and he'd bring it home over the weekends. And there was this weird software on there. It was like sheet music. You'd pick an instrument and then you'd put the notes. Honestly, it looked like typical sheet music. And you just plonk things there. So I put things there and I was like, that doesn't sound right. Put something. Then I changed the instrument from it was only orchestral instruments. So violins, cellos, whatever, flutes, whatever. So I'd be shifting those things around. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't even export it. I didn't even know it was something I wanted to hold on to and keep. But I knew that I was enjoying myself when I was doing that. Fast forward a few years, and then a friend gives me a copy of EJ, which is like, it's tile-based music where you know EJ?
No.
You don't know EJ?
No.
I'm dating myself here. So it's a software, right? And
exposure, yeah.
You take a tile, right, of like jazz music and you just put it there. Okay. Then you get another tile with like hip-hop drums and you put it there. And you multiply those tiles. So you see how then you create the beat. And then at the end of that you can export. But again, I don't think I exported much. I just wanted to put the things there and listen back and be like, oh, that's dope. Only when I got Reason, which was like in 2007, did I actually purposefully create sounds. Because at that point I played in a few orchestras. I played the violin for a while. Played in a few orchestras. I sort of kind of understood what type of music I liked. I liked hip-hop. I liked a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Then I put it all together, sandwiched it all together. When I felt it sounded okay, created my first MP3. And I took that MP3 and I played it for people. Some people looked at me, they're like, dude, what the hell is this? Trash, man. I knew it wasn't amazing, but I was like, I made it. Yeah. I made it. And that was the first time when I really felt like, you know, this is it. This is the thing I want to do.
And I mean, at the time of 2007, the music softwares were not as popular. Like, because you speak about EJ and then Reason. I don't think a lot of people had access to computers, and not a lot of people had access to, or could even conceptualize how to make a song, how to record a song. I mean, we listened to music and it was amazing, but just the ability to be able to say, this is me. I have an MP3. Because I remember when I recorded my first song, I think 2011. That's when I recorded my first song, and a friend of mine just had a laptop with that thing.
Oh,
yeah. And we recorded the first song. I think on the day we left with like 3 freestyles because we just get instrumentals from Hipstrumentals.
Yeah,
bro. Yeah, from Hipstrumentals. And when we went back home, I was gassed because I was like, bro, this is me on a beat. So then it must have been crazy then 2007 because it's before the time where like laptops were popular, the internet was not booming. Like Facebook was not a thing then. So you didn't get... So 2007 you're still in
Matric.
You're not getting gassed at school like, yo, man, like, you are the top dog.
We started Skill Music SA, and good friend of mine, we were just chilling out, hanging out, and he's the one who actually gave me Reason. It was Reason 3. I think, I don't know where they are now, they're Reason something, whatever. But he gave it to me, and it was on 3 CDs. I installed it, started making music. Then I started pushing CDs at school.
CDs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I made 5 beats, he made 5 beats. It was house music, but it was like that. We're talking like Malaika, sort of like
the era.
That era. So it was that sort of very tribal blasty type of house. Popped it on CDs. I remember we made the CD covers. We burnt each CD. We put a little thingy-mabob in the corner. It was a little penguin. I don't even know. It was one of those cut-out things with a cardboard. Then we made a stack of them, and we just started pushing them at school just to make a little bit of money. I don't know where that came from, but I wasn't really gassed even from there. And then it was so short-lived because I think it must have been in April of 2007, and everybody's already thinking of what they're going to be doing the following year. So at that point, I just bounced. And then I went to university, had my little computer, and I just carried on doing what I was doing.
And how is it there? Is everyone gassed that when they found out that, okay, fine, you're doing physio, but you're also like a music producer?
Nah, dude, I was a nerd, bro.
Well,
I was a nerd. Bro, because you know how it is in university, bro. People come through. Then they open up. I was room 37 in Clarinus Village. They open up, or I open for them, and they see me. They're like, "Yo, man, what are you doing?" Excited to maybe we go outside and do something. And I'm like, "Nah, dude. Like I'm chilling. I'm in front of the computer." They look at the computer. They're expecting to see series because that was the thing. It's blocks, bro. They're like, "What are you doing?" What is this thing that you're doing? No, I'm making beats. Then start clicking around, and they're like, man, what is this? And so it wasn't the thing, bruh. It really wasn't the thing.
Throughout varsity, because I mean, first year makes sense. Everyone is trying to. Because I remember, like in first year, everyone is trying to find themselves. You know, everyone is. People from the rurals are getting there, looking swaggy. They're out partying and stuff. So when they pick up a nerd or like someone who's in the computer like making music, then it's easy to kind of bully them out of it or to say, it's trash. But later on, I think as you find yourself, you're like, actually, hey, bro, maybe I'm not as flashy or whatever. Does not come back to that guy who was doing the music in first year was onto something. Or it's still like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's become more and more apparent, even now. Still.
Okay.
That I think by maybe third year, people were like, "Yo, man, I partied a lot here, and I'm coming towards the end of my career at the university, and besides a really good time, which there's nothing wrong with that. Besides that, like, what do I have to show for? Some people worked. Some people had to go and work. Other people really had a chill time. Some people weren't even on res. They were just living their lives out at home, right? And as time went on, people from varsity and people from even high school actually came back, and they were like, actually, that thing that you're doing, you were actually doing something.
You onto something.
You were onto something.
Yeah.
And then now, like, the more stuff happens, the studio gets built, and people are like, yo, man, do you remember when? They take me back to memories that they are uncovering things. I'm like, oh my gosh, you must have thought that I was... And I don't blame people. That's the thing, I don't blame people, because honestly, back then, I was fumbling, man. I was winging everything, just trying to figure stuff out. And it only makes sense now.
Years
when
later.
Everything is like,
coming together.
Come together. And the more solidified the whole brand looks, and the more polished it looks, the more intentional it looked. I promise you it wasn't. At the time, it wasn't like that.
I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode. I probably did, but we are recording at your studio, and you opened the studio 2 years. I think it's 2 years now, just over 2 years.
2021, just over 2 years.
Just over 2 years.
Yeah.
And it also didn't look like this 2 years ago. In fact, 2 years ago, like the lights were not here. It was just a recording studio, and I remember even the desk you're using, it was that brown simple desk with the black cloth, and then the books to like propel the speakers and stuff. And I remember when we had the conversation, I was like, because you took the pictures and you like took the videos, and I was like, yeah, but why, bro? Like it looks good, yes, because we have the glass and stuff, but like, don't you want to wait until this thing arrives? And you were like, nah. this is where I am right now, and I want to be able to appreciate the disc when it eventually arrives, and for people to kind of see that you don't need the big flashy stuff to start, and like you can still do it with the just a normal disc that you bought from. You say, what did you get from? You said you got it from somewhere. No, you said
it was an antique store.
Yeah. I remember you said you got it from somewhere, and that has always been a thing that you've kind of like, I'll say, preached or like lived out. You know, we've had a lot of conversations off air. You know, like a lot of conversations where you've had to, you know, shout in, like, instill things in me, or like watch me go through stuff, and you're like, hey my man, hey my man, what's going on there? And so that's why I found it fitting that I bring you in. You know, I just wanted to give like just a brief background, like just with the whole music thing, but just to bring you in for today's episode, which is, I want to talk about, it's not an interview. Just a disclaimer to everyone, it's not an interview, but I just needed for people to kind of get an idea of who Silas Beats is. I'll call you Adrian, bro.
That's
true. And it's such a trip. I think we've been to, like, you know, the turnkey sessions with the producers, and everyone's like, Silas Beats. And me, I'm like, hey, yo, Adrian. So that's also been quite interesting. But I found it, I thought it was fitting for me to bring you in for today's episode for two reasons. One, and I'm going to introduce the topic now, which is, I want us to talk about like just resilience, you know, the concept of like resilience. And the reason why it's fitting is because, one, I mean, I've been gone, I think, for 2 months in terms of like posting the episodes, and I wasn't gone because I was chilling in a corner doing other stuff. I was actually like, it was during I was contemplating a lot of things, you know, like wanting to record an episode, but I actually don't have it in me to record an episode. And I think now it's what's this? It's poetic that I can record the 10th episode and it's gonna be about resilience. And the one person, I think one of the few people that are like, what is it? I want to say strong, but like very passionate about getting back up. Like just keep going, bro. Just keep going. You know, regardless of how everything is going, is you. Like I think last year or 2 years ago, like I was in a dip, and you're like, yeah, you saw me in the dip, and you'd be like, yo, bro, just come through, come do something, you know. And at the time, you weren't very like vocal about get back up and do something. You were on some come through, you know. Come let's do something. Come to the studio. Come record. Okay, I have a session for you. Is that cool? Bro, I'm tired. Okay, I booked someone for 10 and 11. Hey, my man, I'm tired. I'm tired. So you were very actionable about it, not very vocal. And I thought about it like recently. I'm like, hey, this man, when he was doing those things, maybe he saw I was in a dip and he wanted to put me out. So what do you think about like resilience? And like, how would you define it for yourself? Like, what is resilience for you?
Resilience, for me, I think, you know, I actually, when you told me what we're going to be talking about, there's this word that's always been in my mind, and someone actually said it to me last year, and it's just always been there. 4-letter word, grit. Then I was like, what's the difference between the two? And I actually realized that there isn't much of a difference.
Okay.
Grit being the ability, and I like the word, it sounds, you know, it's...
You gotta have grit.
Yeah, you have to have grit, you know. So you're asking me what it means to me, what I think it means.
Yeah, resilience.
It's that thing where you're able to... You're able to, either you don't shy away from something, and even if it does knock you down, you're able to continue on past it because you are calloused.
Calloused, okay.
Yeah, we've spoken about being calloused.
Yeah, having
calluses on your hands. And it's so important to, not to have calluses on your hands, but like, to like callous yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean to like beat yourself up, but to a degree it does. Where you have to take yourself and put yourself through stuff. Or go through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fail, or do badly, or be beaten, come out on the other side and think to yourself, man, that was terrible. And then when the next thing comes through, it's a little bit easier to do that thing. So now your callus sort of takes your grit and your resilience up a notch.
Okay.
And you just continue that process. So we do, from the time that I've got a little kid now who's trying to walk, I'm watching her callousing herself. In the beginning, when she used to topple over and I'd catch her, she would cry. But it didn't stop her. Kids, they want to explore. So she'd get up again. I'd be like, man, you just fell and you just cried. The following day, she would do it again. This time when she falls, she doesn't cry. But she cries when she lands by herself on her elbows or her knees. So the following day, when she lands again, she doesn't cry. And over a period of time, that resilience then leads to growth, development, all those nice words that we like to talk about. But obviously, with most things in life, before you get to that really nice phase, it really is, it's not nice. It's not nice to fall on your knees. It's not nice to fail. It's not nice to lose 100K or whatever it is, but you learn.
Yeah. No, and I was actually, that's a good example. It's a very good, yeah, it's actually a very good example, because I remember even when I was there the other day, and as she was falling, I like I win. Like, nah, she's gonna land on. Like, she used to fall backwards on her head, but now she doesn't anymore, which is quite interesting, because I mean, I think kids are actually a perfect example, because like they'll crawl and then they'll try to like stand up and they'll fall and then they'll hit their faces and whatever. You think it's done, literally 2 seconds later they're trying to do it again. And I think when it comes to resilience, I think it's such a, you mentioned it off air when you're saying it's not an overused word versus, what were you using? Consistency and whatever, and that's persistence and stuff. And I remember one of the episodes where I spoke about consistency, and I was like, I need to be consistent. I need to, like, every week I need to put out an episode. Okay, and then it's like every 2 weeks I need to put out an episode. Okay, maybe every month I need to put out an episode. And I just kept shifting the poles, and it got to a point when I didn't drop. I remember after the last drop, even before that, I think it was tough just for me to record an episode, and then I recorded the last one, like, don't give up. And ironically, after that, I didn't record another episode, but I just knew there was something about just don't give up, And I found that a lot of people, when it comes to consistency and like persistence, they put a timeline to it, because like consistency is do it every week. If you do it this week, do it again next week. Or if you do it daily, then just keep on pushing until something catches on. But with the resilience, it almost feels like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it almost feels like there isn't necessarily a timeline to it. It's about, I can fall today, sharp, and crawl and whatever, because I was standing and just crawl and whatever, and be on my knees and like try to walk and fall and whatever. But the mere fact that I'm still crawling and I'm still trying to move forward, or there's movement, I think that's what encapsulates like resilience, as opposed to like the consistency of every week or every month or every whatever.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's not time based. That's what I like about it. And then what inevitably happens is, after some time passes, it looks time-based, because I've been resilient for the past 5 years. I've done it for 5 years, and I've therefore been consistent. But with the resiliency, it literally is just to be able to, and it sounds so meager, it sounds so crude, but to just fight another day. This is the only thing that I've learned from traders. I don't Forex and that stuff. The only thing I've learned from traders is that you need to be able to live to trade another day. So you don't blow your account thinking you're going to make the big score today. You just make your incremental gains each day. Just don't blow the account. And I think what people do when they put times to it is they blow their account. They're like, my account needs to grow by 150% in the space of whatever, by being this consistent, whatever it is. No, don't think like that. Build a little bit. Yeah, and as you're mentioning, even if it means crawling to the next thing. I'm sure you've done it where you get to the gym and you're like, wow. Yeah. I'm not gonna manage. But it's fine. You don't have to get the same weights you picked up yesterday. Go get some smaller weights. Or go do something that walk on the treadmill. Just be in that environment. The sheer fact that you're in there allows you to, when you do, like at the end of each day, I've got this app on my phone where I can just tick my resiliency. And I can say, I did it. Not how. Yeah. Not to what degree. There are places where I've got metrics and numbers, but did you do it? Did you journal? Not did you write 5 pages in your journal. Did you write 1 page and therefore because I wrote 1 and I didn't write 5, it's a failure. Did you journal? And just ticking there and it's like, okay, cool. I did it in some shape or form. Because at the end of the day, 5 years down the line, you can say, I've been journaling for 5 years. No one's going to be like, how well did you journal in year 2? No, so you're completely right with your definition of of
Yeah,
resilience.
it's such. I think I came to this recently because I've also been. I think starting the podcast. I was very much on the consistency tip, which is good. I mean, you have to be consistent and stuff, to build skills. But I think it's so important to be resilient to say, this is not, it's not over. It's not over. Just one more day. One more day. I remember I saw a video, man. It's just such a beautiful thing. It said, I'm gonna be paraphrasing it, but it was about this person was saying they were told by someone that don't try to say I wanna live for 30 days and stuff. I think it was about overcoming addiction, someone out of rehab. So they asked me, damn man, how did you go 10 years without using the substance or the alcohol or whatever? And the person was like, I didn't say I wanna be sober for 30 years or for 10 years or for 20 years. I just said, can I do it for one more day? And that one more day just kept building up until it was 10 years later. But for them, it was about how do I get to the next day? And even on days where it was difficult, and even if they were to fall, it's fine, the lay down, it's not a measure of I've been sober for 7 days. It's like, can I be sober for one more day? And it's been for me, I think, very difficult, even with the podcast, man, just saying I'm going to do it again. And I remember which is so ironic because I think the second or third episode I was like, people, and I think you told me this, you were like, people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 5, in 10. And if I had stopped after episode 1 of the podcast, there wouldn't be episode 10. And you also said, there was a stat you posted in one of the episodes, you're like, do you know that, it was a ridiculous number.
Silly. It was dumb. It was really dumb.
Of podcasts don't go past what, and I was like, this man is playing 5. I think it was 5 episodes.
It was 5.
And then it was 5. Then it was 10. It was 20. Yeah. I was like, what you mean 10 episodes? I can do this every week. And I remember when I wanted to stop, I was like, you can stop. And you will be the podcast that had 9 episodes. Or you can try to record another one, and you'll be the podcast that has 10 episodes. And yes, it's not consistent, and you're gonna lose people along the line. But the fact that you're still continuing, I think, is so important. But I'm very interested in, what's the, because I think it requires mental strength of some sort, having to say, okay, I failed, but I want to get up again. So what mental, not mental, what components do you think someone needs to kind of think of when trying to adopt the concept of resilience into their own lives?
That's a tough one. I've seen a lot of people who are resilient, but I've also seen the far majority of people who don't have, you can see that it's just not built into their makeup. And I've been thinking about this for a very long time. If I want to, not to say I'm the most resilient person in the world, but sometimes I look and I'm like, I know that this person is not going to make it past the third one of that thing. I see it. Maybe I've just seen it so many times. And there's certain qualities that I see that they've certain habits that they've developed. One of them is making promises to themselves and not keeping them. That is, it's almost like they don't have is that respect. I don't know. I'm weird, and I always do this, and I always sound weird for doing it. But I always believe that I am not myself. There's different versions of me in my head, which could classify as a medical diagnosis, but it works for me. And that I'm making a promise to myself when I wake up in the morning that before I start my day, I'm going to make my bed as the first thing. If I don't do it, I've broken my promise. It's very small because I can make my bed later, or I just don't make my bed, right? But it's a small promise that I've made to myself. If I get that one right, I'm already off to a good start. I've said something to myself, sitting in front of me. I've said it, and I did it.
With nobody there to hold you accountable.
Exactly. So I feel good about how I am about myself. We're like, we're on good terms now. Let's do the next thing. Go brush my teeth. I have a routine that gets me to the computer where I ultimately start working. By the time I get to the computer, I've already done 3 or 4 things. So I've already started with those very low-hanging fruit. I'm all about low-hanging fruit, man. At heart, I'm quite lazy.
Yeah.
So I will try and, work it up to that point. So I think that that's something that people don't have. So I think if a person can somehow work it out with themselves, and sometimes, and I think it's so different from person to person. The reason why they don't make promises to themselves, or they keep breaking them, might be because of past trauma, failed relationships, massive loss, seeing results and then not seeing results, earning a lot and then failing badly, whatever it is. And there's all these different factors, so it's tough to say what I think these people should be like, but I think that that's a massive thing. Another thing.
So that would be like a form of like self-efficacy, self-respect, okay.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
It's a big one. I think it's the biggest. In terms of resilience, then I think going back to that callousing thing, so not necessarily, I have to balance this one out, not necessarily callousing yourself with the activity, but practicing the activity so that when you get to it, I'll explain it. Let me
Let me just take these things to record.
Yeah,
bro.
So resilience of, let me take, for example, lifting my child.
Okay.
Being able to lift her and hold her, that's the activity.
Okay.
But practicing the activity is also very important in that I will go and maybe do a few push-ups, I'll do weight. These are things I had to do because when I had a baby, and you don't realize how long you have the baby in your hand, you start getting arm pain, back pain, you start feeling things, and you're like, man, I'm not unfit like this, what's going on?
The baby's small.
And the baby's small as well, but it's the length of time that you have them, and you're trying to be careful and everything, so you're taking the extra effort. So, me being able to say, look, your body is not coping well with this. Clearly, in the activity, you are getting chowed. This situation is hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take it back to a practice situation. Put the training wheels back on.
Okay, yeah.
Then go to the gym, maybe lift a few. Doesn't even have to be going to the gym fully to just lift a baby, but I'm just doing a few push-ups here, just conditioning the body a little bit. Mm-hmm. That way, when I get back into the activity, I'm already better. I'm like, I can do it for longer. I can do it better. Now I can do other things. At some point, I had her here, and I was busy making her milk, and that was new for me.
Ooh, wait. I'm getting an idea from this. So you were talking about the practice aspect. I'm getting another idea from it where you try an activity, you fail, which is your body gets sore, whatever. You fail, giving yourself time to reset. Where you like conditioning your body, because now, I mean, you're not gonna stop carrying a baby, yes.
Yeah.
But like now you're like, hey, maybe this one is not working out. So let me try to find other ways to do the activity, to perform the activity a bit better. So let me better equip myself. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to learn from. So what would we call that? Like just having to learn from the fact, hey, dude, I'm not strong enough for this. I'm not.
It's self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Okay. So we have self-efficacy. We've got self-awareness. I had one that I was thinking about, man, and it's related to the I think 2021 dip that I had even last year, which is about like regulation, like emotional regulation, where when you are in those dips or when you are experiencing the back pain. Because I remember when I was in the dips, when I would have my dips, even this one, I can use this one, this recent one, as an example. Had a great first start of the year.
Yeah.
Had my goals and I was kicking ass.
You on fire.
Kicking ass. Podcast was there. Business was coming up. I had concepts every week. I was getting challenges, but I was pushing through. Yeah. And I felt strong. Like I didn't feel, yes, there were challenges on the way, but I don't think the challenges were bigger than what I could do at the time. And I think when I finally met a challenge that was big enough, down.
Wind from the stomach.
Yeah, caught me, put me down. It was health. It was a lot of things happening at the same time. And I remember just thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna get back into it, you know. And I didn't take time to actually sit and say, hey, maybe you're not equipped. The challenge is now you've met your match, or you've met something bigger than you, and it's put you down. But I didn't have that self-regulation to say, my man, it's fine, you know, because I took it. I think I took it personally, where I was like, yo, bro, like this is not me. You know, emotionally I'm stronger than this. Physically I'm stronger than this. You know, mentally I'm stronger than this. But somehow I can't find it in me to record one episode. Yeah. And so I struggled to like, and then the dip just became worse because I couldn't regulate where I was emotionally. I wasn't really aware of what I was feeling internally. And I just wanted to get the task done. And I think it taught me, it was tough. Yeah. It was tough because then how do you get back up when you thought you were bigger than this, but actually you're not. And you touched on it, I think, in your latest video that you said.
I haven't released that one yet.
Which one? No, it was on YouTube.
Yeah, it's unlisted. Oh. It's unlisted. I'll release it. I've been thinking about it. I'll release it.
Is it?
Yeah, you're the only person who's seen it.
Oh damn. Oh damn.
But yes, it's exactly what I was. That's exactly what happened to me as well. The exact same thing. And for me, oh man, it was tough. It was tough to go through. I was in the same position. I was just like, yo, this is not me. I was not that person who failed. I was like, I'm better than this. What is this? What's going on here? And I didn't know what to do. But I had a job that I needed to finish. Like the job was here in my hands. And
it's in front of you.
I needed to finish it. I struggled. I got to the end of it eventually. But sure, it was a tough thing. Funny you mentioned that. I was scared that client was going to come back. I started to have fear that the client was going to text me back. Because I was just finished. I was tired. I was like, yo, I got punched to the ground. And it's coming back up to me like, yo. I took a moment. I did that video, which was catharsis for me. I purged it from my body and I felt much better. Then I watched it back and I was like, damn, Adrian, this thing got you. Then I took a moment to rest and the guy texted me yesterday. He was like, there's more work coming. And I was like, okay, cool, bet. Let's go. But I realized it, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that having gone through that moment of heavy work and just not being able to handle it, I got some work yesterday and the day before. It wasn't little work, but I crushed it within the space of an hour because of the skills I had picked up from doing this thing for this other guy. So my level of capability had risen. So now, going back to this guy, I'm excited now because I know that if I work for him, I can now push him again. I can be like, yo, give me more stuff so that I can callous myself again, put myself back in the hole. Now, this is me also, like, it's very weird because not a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people think it's okay. Take myself back to that place, that dark spot where I am in pain. Sleep was gone and then develop some more.
I think people understand it, man. People go to gym.
Exactly.
I think that's the simplest example. And whenever, like, I think sometimes I take concepts as just, quite simple. I think going to the gym is the same thing as pushing yourself to the dark place mentally. And yes, gym has mental benefits and stuff, but when you go to gym, you're literally in pain. Like, you are running, you are out of air, and for you to break, like, if you used to run 5 kilometers, you're gonna go you have to unlock a certain level of pain and discomfort for you to get to 6 kilometers. So I think it's a similar thing, where you are callousing yourself, and you're quite big on, like, callousing yourself, and in putting yourself through difficult situations to try and, I think, prepare for, like, for the real world or whatever. I'm interested now. How do you manage to have a positive outlook into this? Like, because now if you callousing yourself, like, for example, lifting the heavy weights, for you to get callous, it's painful. When you think about it, it's painful. You think, it's painful, it's heavy, it's going to be tough, I might lose A, B, C, and D. But how do you maintain that positive outlook while you're callousing yourself in order to build that resilience?
Sure.
Tough.
That is difficult.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind is small wins. The thing I was saying about small, low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's easier because I've seen what doing something like this over a long period can do. With the music. It's a very nice. It's a very nice thread that's run throughout my life, and it's shown me that if you just do a little bit more today, even if it's just a little bit, and it's not nice, you might not like what you're doing. Sure, you don't want to make a piano. You don't want to do this. You don't want to work on 7 beats in one day. Just try it and see. And I'm able to do that based on the fact that I might have done something similar before.
Okay.
A beat challenge or something where I did a lot of it before. So having seen the wins of that helps for the next win, which helps for the next win. Which is why, as crazy as it sounds, a person like Donald Trump can go 150 million debt and be like, it's whatever.
Because they can't.
Yeah, done this. And you thinking to yourself, you're like, where do you even begin?
Yeah.
Like, mentally, where do you begin? It's the same with salaries as well. When you're a kid, you don't know what 15, 30, 40,000, you don't know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to see it. Then you blow it. Then you get sad. And you're like, man. Then you see it again and you're like, yeah, no, this time.
Yeah.
So you have to have those wins. You have to. And it's tough in the beginning, especially with things like, that's why, I like gym, because there's something nice about gym. In the beginning, you get those newbie gains. You get those wins in the beginning. You're like, hey, man, I'm feeling better already.
Buffed.
Yeah, you feel good. And then from there, it goes away, and then you must go, and you're forever chasing that thing. You get bigger, stronger, faster, whatever. And then at some point, it goes away. And then from there, you must, grind it out again. But at least you had those small wins, so you know that it's possible.
Mm. And now you're just mentioning like the whole salary thing, where you make the money, you blow it, and then it's gone. Now you're on zero. Now you have to get through the month.
Yes.
But you're on zero, and I think a lot of people can relate to this way. Now you're on zero. What do you do? How do you still, like I said, how do you still maintain a thing? And there's quite an interesting thing about, I think, having a positive outlook, where you can either be in the situation one, solution based, or problem based, where you are focusing a lot on the problem, like I don't have money. Oh, how do I can't get through to the end of the month. Oh, I don't have food. I don't have this. And if you get in that space, I think you just spiral out, because things just get worse from that point. I think when you realize that, hey, dude, okay, yes, money is gone. Yes, you messed up, but you can't wallow in the fact that, yo, man, I messed up. I shouldn't have bought the thing. You've bought the thing.
It's here now.
You've bought the thing. And I think that we live in a world where, obviously people are multidimensional and stuff, but we live in a world where there's people that are predominant, they're very solution based, and people that are very problem based, whereby the problem based ones are the ones that sit and say, but I'm in a dark place, but I haven't had money, but I wanna do this, but I can't because of A, B, C, and D. And we've actually had interactions where I'm like, yo, bro, like I wanna try this out, but so and so, and you're like, okay, but do you try this? I'm like, yeah, but. And you find that people will always find a but to whatever solution that you might bring to them, and then you find other ones who have very solutions, like, oh, there's a problem. Okay, here's a solution, my man. Before they actually analyze. And I think there's quite a beautiful balance between the two, actually, where you can be problem based. Initially, you have to kind of understand the problem. You give it enough time where okay, this is a problem. These are the holes. Okay, cool. But if you don't manage to snap out of it in time, then you become sucked in. I think if you can find just that ounce of energy to snap out at the right time and become look into the solution, I think it really adds on to how much resilience you can have as a person. Because if you spend 90% of the time in the problem and then 10% in the solution, and when it doesn't work out, you die and you go back to the problem, then I don't think you can. You are trying things out, but it becomes harder to try harder things, because now you're just going to try to make it easier. And now you're like, what's this word called? You are receding. You're moving backwards.
Yeah, receding. Well, yeah, good work here.
Yeah. So you're moving, but you're moving backwards. And because remember we said resilience is about moving, like you're moving, even if you're crawling and whatever.
In spite of
whatever you're going through. But I think people can easily mistake moving. Oh, do you think it's possible for someone to move backwards ever?
Yes.
How? Actually, now that I'm saying it, how?
What, in terms of being... I think if a person might have a false sense of progress.
Okay.
So they think they're moving forward, but all they're doing is they're just digging themselves a bigger hole.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
So we work we see it in the music industry all the time. Where people are being resilient. They're like, yo man, I've been at this music thing for a very long time. And they just tend to work harder and harder and harder at a thing that's not necessarily working out for them. So they're being resilient, but they're doing the wrong thing. And this is where the self-awareness comes in. To know that maybe you shouldn't be the artist. Maybe you should be the artist manager. Yeah. Maybe you should be the booking agent. And to know that, look, I've tried. Because that's another thing. I fail with that. So there's the flip side to being resilient. Because being resilient means that you have to be stubborn. And sometimes I'm stubborn for too long. And I'm trying to beat the dead horse. It's not working out. And I'm just like, whew. So yeah, I see it all the time where someone is like, yo man, I've been at this thing for 15 years. I'm experienced. Are you really experienced? Are you steps ahead? Or are you just been playing in this small little space here for a very long time and you haven't managed to get out of it? You're just really good at doing this thing. Maybe if you made one or two tweaks that you might not like initially, you'll find yourself getting out of that space. And it will feel organic. That's the other thing. We kind of want to, as humans, we sort of want to shift our...
This thing mustn't play games.
It's fine.
Okay.
We sort of want to shift ourselves into moments of comfort. And I think it's okay provided you're moving forward. So you find that area, like for me, voiceover has made me very aware of my capabilities as a music producer.
Okay.
As a music producer, I thought I was good. Top, I'd say 80th percentile, maybe 90th percentile. Well, I'm like, I'm really good at this thing. But looking at where I am in my environment and the way I was doing things, there was a problem because I was progressing, but when I started with a voiceover, it just seemed to shoot right past what I was achieving in the production world. And I was like, but I've spent so many years on the music production, and sure, there was skill crossover, which made things easier. But I was like, this is so much easier. It's so much more organic. I can do this. I can have one done now in 20 minutes. I'll finish a voiceover. It'll be perfect. I'll send it to the client. Everything will be 100% fine. But I needed to make that shift and allow that shift to happen. Go to that thing, embrace it, and say, actually, maybe I am a better voicer. And I've never said it before. Maybe I'm a better voiceover artist than I am a music producer. That's my identity. I'm a music producer. That's me. It's who I am. And now I'm admitting that the thing I've been doing for a year properly, I'm better at than the thing that I've been doing for 16. It doesn't compute. It's like, you've been wasting your time. You're bad. So... to shield myself from that, what I've done is I've just tried to incorporate everything and say the reason I am good at this is because it's all the same person. It's all me still. I'm a voiceover artist, but I'm not a voiceover artist without being a music producer. Without being a physiotherapist. That's the only way I was able to justify my master's degree. When I left there, someone was like, you've got this piece of paper, you're leaving physiotherapy, what are you doing? You're wasting money. And I was like, no, I'm not. The ability to take articles apart, think analytically, be able to do data collection, analyze that data, be able to come up with a discussion, be able to come up with recommendations. Those are all skills that I learned as a physiotherapist in undergrad and again in postgrad, but then I was able to do skills transfer, not only to just doing copywriting, but now I can take those elements into my business and say, data collection in my business, analysis of my business, recommendations of my business, build my business. So
it all comes together. That's so beautiful. That's actually that's so beautiful because I mean what you're touching on now is about like as a music producer you had goals obviously. Like you're like, this is my goal for the next whatever 5, 10, 20 years. And now tying it in with what you were saying previously about people like beating a dead horse, like where someone is resilient, they're pushing through, but they're working on something that is never gonna work out. Like it's not gonna work. Like it's like leave it, And that's and having that self-awareness to know like when to kind of stop. I think is part of the resilience and being open to restructuring your goals Because now as a producer, you had goals like in the next 10 years, this is my goal. Voiceover came through, and now things are like shifting. And if you were stuck on, nah, but I'm a music producer, bro. Like, yes, I'll do this voiceover thing part time to supplement the cash, but me, I'm a music producer. It would have hindered you from actually progressing forward. So that's dope. And it's difficult. I remember earlier I was talking about it from like the frequency that I upload the episodes. I don't think it's quite applicable to it, but I was like, I'll do it every week, and I'm like, I'll do it twice a month, whatever. I was shifting goalposts, and I think what you're touching on, the difference between shifting the goalposts, because I was just justifying why I wasn't putting in the work and kind of finding an easier way to do it. Like, I just want to do it maybe twice a month, maybe once a month. But what you're actually saying is you need to be able to be open to pivot and to, yes, as a producer, that skill wasn't a waste of time, because you've built up so much up until now, and being in the business, making the beats, having to sell the beats, and playing in that field as a physiotherapist, it wasn't wasted. So you're not necessarily, okay, now all of that is chucked to the side. You've actually found a way to integrate those into this new goal that you've kind of morphed, which can only make it bigger. So you're like adding on to like, it's like, what's that thing, man, where you add water, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing.
So you're talking about a balloon or something?
No, man, it's like it looks like it's like puffy. Like as the more you add water, it just becomes bigger and bigger.
Sponge? What are you referring to?
You can use a sponge, bro. You can use a sponge. You know, like as you add water, it becomes bigger and bigger. And that's what you've done, is that instead you didn't cut yourself up and like say, okay, this is physio is dead, or everything I've learned in physio is dead. You've like, how do I amplify who I am as an individual? But I have to present myself differently, which is what I was asking like earlier. Like, how do you introduce yourself now? Because people know you as Adrian, people know you as Silas Beats, other people know you as whatever your parents call you. What do your parents call you?
Adrian.
No nicknames.
Nah,
I can't, bro. Nothing. There has to be that, or your sister.
Yeah, there's names here and there, man. So they have their names.
No, man,
those are they're for the house, man.
And just we've been going on. Yeah, we've been going on for a while. But I want to know, man, like just possibly briefly. What's the time you can recall where you've had to like bring it out, like or your resilience was like challenged, like the worst time where you're like, yeah, now I don't see a way out, or if I had 100% of resilience, 80% is required, you know, in my battery of resilience, like it's taking on a lot, because some events just need 10%. Just need to resilient 10%, others 20%, but like this one you're like, nah.
Yeah, those last few months of work, that had to have been one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Whereas in a place where, I'm seeing it right now even. I was in a place where it was so, I had moments of such darkness. And it was just, it's like there was a monster in the closet. And at some point, the monster would come out and then go back in the closet. Come out, go back in the closet. At some point, the door to the closet was just open. At some point, the monster was getting comfortable in the room.
Yeah.
And the monster was growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually, I felt myself being consumed by that monster. I feel like that monster was like, I don't know, it was just ill thoughts and resentment and just, So the moment where it required a lot of resilience from me was being able to continue going through the motions of being a human, kind of just keeping the ship running. It's people at home that require me. There are friends that require me. The business requires me. All these things required me. And waking up each day and getting ready to go and do it all over again. And then again, ending off the day super late, because I didn't have those moments. Those moments, I'd optimized my life for performance. Mm-hmm. So all those gaps where people usually take a moment to be like, I'm just going to sit and watch a little bit of Netflix. I eliminated all of them. And I got to a place where I was a machine. Sure, making a lot of money. Things were going well with the business, things were going well with work, whatever. But I feel like at some point I was just beating. It was no longer callousing. It was getting to a point of neuron amputation. It was a bit much. I was doing a bit too much. It was then that I felt, okay, you're burning out. So resilience can definitely take you down that road of, you're doing too much now. Just, pull it back a bit. But that was the one time when I realized this is not happening. And that's when I decided to pivot. I was still supposed to be at work right now. But I had to pivot at that point, and I said, at the end of the day, health is number one.
Your health.
My health. And because if I'm not healthy, I can't do the business, I can't do that. Then I get home, now I've got random resentment, like I'm saying, that I was being consumed by that monster. I'm now with my daughter. I'm supposed to be, kids, they look at you, they watch you. I want her to only get positive, not only, there will be times where she'll get negative energy from me, but I don't want it to be residual negative energy. I don't want it to be, I was arguing with so-and-so at work and now it's here with you and you can see the anger on my face still. I don't want it to be, I lash out at my wife and the child sees me as like, hey, my dad is a bit of a scary person. I didn't want for those things to happen unnecessarily. Like I said, life's life. These things are going to happen, but I felt like I could control that. And the one thing that I could do and I needed to do, despite the financial needs and all of that stuff, was to pull back from work and say, you know what, I'm no longer working in this particular job. I pulled back, and luckily for me, it was a good choice. 4 months in now, I'm realizing how much of a good choice it was, but I really needed it. I'm better now.
No,
better now.
No, it's fun. Actually, I'm dragging you back. But what the day you making the decision? Because it's a build up, obviously, and you can see parts of yourself falling off and stuff. That the day you make the decision, where are you?
Physically.
No. What space are you in?
I was, and these terms, man, these terms are all so dope when people weren't using them. But I felt like I was, headspace-wise, I was an NPC. Non-player, what?
Non-playable character. Yeah, non-playable character.
Yes, yeah. So I actually I've known the term for decades because I've been playing games.
Yeah.
Role-playing game. I loved role-playing games. There was just something about being the character, that main character, being able to move. I was never the fastest at school or the smartest, but I could level this character, level the crap out of them to make them stronger, faster, better. And whenever you get to the town after a big quest, there's people there in the town. There's the blacksmith, there's the item shop, there's the weapons shop. You go to these places, you collect what you need to, and then you bounce, right? In life, I felt like I was the blacksmith. I was just that dude. When you come to the shop, you'll find him there. If you need things from him, you'll get things from him there. I'll come through and I'll give you your things and everything will be dope. But I was like, nah, fam. I can't look at my life and see myself just being that blacksmith every single day. I needed to pull myself out of that and become the main character again. So to answer you, I felt like I was just moving. I had no control. It was just like, what's next? Now where I am right now, I feel so in control of my the narrative. Obviously, I'm not 100% in control. There's external factors, but I'm guiding the narrative, and it's actually making time go faster. I'm not feeling the months as they go by now. And it's crazy. It's because I'm enjoying myself. It just makes me realize, you have a comparable item. I'm comparing it to the beginning of the year where I felt each day. I felt each hour. Now I get into states of zen where between 7:30 and 1, that's half the day goes. But I can tell you in that time, I was productive. I finished that. I did this. I spoke to so-and-so. Had this chat. It's amazing. The clarity, and also I'm not the blacksmith. I'm not in the shop. It's not boring. I'm out there. So
There's a. Let me just Just to close off. This is the longest episode. Yeah, it's like an hour and 5.
It's gonna be a bumper. You might have to cut it out.
Put it up as it is. There's something I was checking, because I was looking up just like, quotes about like this resilience and stuff. And there's one that says, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life." What do you think of that?
Love it. I love it, man.
Yeah. I think this one is also, even for me, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's weird because you're not, when you're in it, it's like, what the hell? Because someone might be going through it and they're like rock bottom and they're like, how the hell can he say that he loves that moment?
Yeah.
You can clarify and say you don't love it when you're in it. Of course, it's the worst thing, bruh. You're chilling there, you're in pain, it's not dope.
Yeah.
But eventually, when you do get out of it, then you're not the person you were before. You've got all these new skills, all these new outlooks, wiser.
Do you think what you were going through that time, like when you felt like the non-playable character? Do you think going through all of that, like there was a reason for it? Does it make it feel better that you know that there was a reason for you to go through all of that? But tough thing is that it can only happen retrospectively, in retrospect. Because I remember when I had my I had a tough. I also had one of the lowest moments, man. I think 2 years, like not two back to back, like a period of 2 years in varsity where, like, I had to repeat a year. Man, I think for 2 years, right, nothing made sense. Like I just could not detach from why I was like I'm a year behind. Like I'm a year behind, and every month it became tougher. You think it becomes easier as time passes, but I was like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And I remember, like, when I was doing final year now, finally I was like, but I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Now I'm supposed to be somewhere else. But I think when I came to Joburg, because I mean, if that thing didn't happen, it wouldn't have played out how it did. When I came to Joburg, everything just came together, and I was like, so maybe this is 2 years later now. This is 2 years later, but I think I've missed some lessons along the way, like in that 2 years. Maybe not. Maybe I had to go through like that period of time just for me to kind of understand that you may go through a tough time for a lot. Like, it doesn't have to be like, it's not like what we were saying is that it may not be a month or a year. It can be 2 years. It can be 5 years of just a tough time. But in that tough time, you're actually callousing and you're getting prepared for what's coming for you, which could be far better than what you think you would have wanted to see yourself if you hadn't gone through that. So, yeah. No, man. It's. I didn't think we were gonna go this far. To be honest, I didn't think we were gonna go this far. I mean, I know we're always chatting it up, but I think whenever we get into these topics, it's easy to kind of get sucked into them because they're very complex topics, but they're also quite beautiful topics to discuss, and people are having them out there. But I think for me more than anything, maybe it's a selfish thing, but it's just nice for me. Like, even like with the Don't Give Up episode, at the time when I did, I was sick that day. Like, I was sick when I made the episode, and I woke up at 2 p.m. on a Sunday. I didn't go to church, and when I woke up, I was like, okay, I just need to do this thing. And I was like in an empty mentally, physically, but I got up and recorded the episode. And yes, maybe someone else benefited from me saying don't give up, but for me, when I watch back now, I'm like, damn, that is me saying it to me. It's like looking directly into a mirror and saying, don't give up, bro. Like, I don't know where you are, what you're going through, but don't give up. And I think this episode is like, it's an additional to that. You're like armoring yourself, collecting all these tools that are preparing you for war. And I think when I do watch back, it sounds like a cliche now, but when I do watch back a year from now, literally I'll be like, yo, bro, remember resilience. Maybe now I've lost sight of what it looks like or what it sounds like, but it came from you. It didn't come from someone else. It came from you, and this is what it sounds like. So, yeah, big props, man. Big props for coming through. I know we probably was rambling and like losing sight of things, but yeah, I think we'll do more. There's pressure. We'll do more, and thanks for pulling through. And yeah, that is a wrap. Is there anything that you wanna add, conclude, share? Social media pages. So this man, so if you want to use his services, the studio is available. The studio is actually available. It looks great. Is it just for recording? Just for recording, music recording.
Yeah,
Just for
pretty
music.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then voiceover still going through nicely.
Anything like that. It's just Silas Beats, I guess. That can be your gateway or entry to.
Where's your bag? I asked.
Yeah, in the corner. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll take a picture. I'll put it up there post production. But Silas Beats, Adrian, to me, and yeah, man, it's been great. Big props.